Hello student, welcome to today's session. In this session, we're going to discuss about an important topic related to your general finance for the RBI Grade B is bond. Okay, so it is one of the important topic. This topic is actually important for your descriptive section also, and it is important for your objective section also. Okay, so it is one of the very easiest topic, and we can say before going into the detail of the terminology we use in the bond, or before going into the different terms or what are the functions and how they are useful and how their price is going to be affected by different markets factors. Okay, so before going into detail of this bond, let's see what are the topics which we are going to cover in this session. First, we'll see the introduction, then we'll see the types of bonds, and then we'll see the factors affecting the bond price. Okay, so before going into the detail of the types of bond and how the factors are getting, what are the factors which actually affect the bond price and how they're going to affect, we discuss all these things. But before that, let's understand the concept of the bond. Now, very in a simple language, because many of the students from which whoever watching this video will be from the non-commerce background. So let us understand the concept in a such a way that they can also easily understand. I know many of you from the non-commerce background, so you might not knowing about the bond and anything. So I'm just assuming that you have a zero knowledge. So let's start from the very scratch portion, from the very beginning, from the very basic. So let's say, suppose you have one friend and he and you have 100,000 rupees. You have 1,000 rupees with you, and your friend comes to you and asks for a friend comes to you and asks for rupees 1,000 as a now ask you to lend the 1,000 rupees to him. Okay, since he is your friend, so you thought for a while and said, okay, fine, I'll give you this 1,000 rupees for 1 year. Since the friend has asked rupees 1,000 for 1 year, so he has given this 1,000 rupees for 1 year to his friend. And he asked him, since you are taking this rupees 1,000 for me for 1 year, if I have kept this 1,000 rupees with me, it might be a possibility that I might have earned certain interest on it. So I won't charge you much, but let's say after 1 year, when you're going to return me this 1,000 rupees, I want 100 rupees as an extra money over this 1,000. So his friend gets ready. That is, he becomes, now he gets ready to, okay, fine. We had a deal. Now I will give you 100 rupees extra on this 1,000 rupees when I will return you this money after 1 year. So you said, okay, fine, no issue. Now let's say instead of the friend, some stranger come to you and ask this 1,000 rupees, the 1,000 rupees which you have extra with you. Now, when a stranger comes to you, you don't know about the stranger. Now, whether he will return it or not. Now, whether from where does he live, I don't know. So how if in case he takes this 1,000 rupees and doesn't return back to me, then how am I going to get that money? So in that case, what you do, since there is a chance of this 1,000 rupees not getting back, means that means there is a risk involved when this 1,000 rupees is lended to this structure. So what you did, since there is a risk, so what you did, you charged instead of 100 rupees, which you charged to your friend, you charged rupees 200 as an extra money when this stranger is going to return this 1,000 rupees after 1 year. So this 200 rupees is your profit. Not only this, you want a written promise from this stranger where all this detail of that how much money he has taken for what is the time now for how many years or for what duration he has taken that money for what duration he has taken that money and how much extra is going to, and all about the location and address, everything. So this written note or this written promise note becomes a factor which made you to now have a trust on that stranger. It is nothing sort of any magic which has now this paper is going to give you. Is this paper or this written promise is nothing but just an assurance from a stranger that in case if I get default, if I don't pay you, you will have this promise note to with you. You can take any action on me if I didn't return your money. Or once this now, let's say after 1 year, the stranger has told them to return that money. So after 1 year, whatever the date on which the stranger is about to return this money, he will uh, me or the you will go to that stranger for getting that money back. Okay, so since there is a risk involved, since there is a more risk involved than in the case of friend, so what happens? You wanted an extra money or higher interest or more interest or written promise from this stranger. Okay, so this is called your stranger case. Now let's say we have seen that friend has came to ask you, stranger has come to ask you, what if the government come to ask you for a money? Okay, now the first question in your mind will be how the government is going to come and ask the money to me, how the government is going to ask money or going to now borrow money from me. Okay, so this is not possible for government to buy money or to borrow money from each and every individual. So what they do, they issue this written promise to each individual, and each individual actually lend this 1,000 rupees to that particular or based on that written promise. Okay, and why does government need money? The government need money because suppose government has a different infrastructure. Now they are developing different infrastructure. Somewhere health infrastructure, somewhere education infrastructure, somewhere road infrastructure. So they need money in order to develop this infrastructure. Okay, or there can be a process. Now suppose they're running different institutions, they need now money to pay the salary of their employees. So there might be a possibility there is a short of fund with the government now for a very short duration of time. So for that short duration of time to run their operation, they might need money. They might need money to invest into some infrastructure project like health, education, or road. So all these things, the government need money. The government, from where did the government get money? Government can ask money from the people, the normal people or the common people of India. They can ask to certain institutions. Now, we have a different institutions like now it's nowadays, if you can see the example, the latest name is NAFID, National Bank for Infrastructure Development. They can ask money from there also. They can take loan from the bank also. They can ask money from the bank also. So whenever they are asking money from the bank, they give their promise note to each one of them, in which all the details have been given in how much money a person has now lended to government, what duration they have lended, what the extra money they are going to charge for lending this. Okay, so all this information is given to you on this promise, and this promise note is nothing but this promise note is the only your bond. Okay, so a written promise note in which all the details of your deal or the agreement has been written on that particular promise note is called your bond. Okay, and since you are the person who is giving the money, you are the person who is lending the money, so you become the lender or the investor. Okay, and the government is the one who is borrowing the money, so the government becomes the borrower. Okay, so you become the investor, government becomes the borrower, and the amount they are taking is called its face value. This particular value is called your face value. Okay, and the time or the duration for which this bond have been issued or this promise note has been given to you, it's called as maturity period. And this 100 extra money which you get is called your coupon payment. Okay, so you have now you can see that it this type of things is now you have already done in your life. But since there is no written promise note given to you, that cannot be considered as a bond. Okay, so I hope from this point it the basic overview of the bond is clear. So bond is nothing but a promise note by which the issuer or the person who is giving this promise note is a borrower and is taking the money from the investor and promise to pay the money as well as an extra money to them after the decided maturity period. Okay, so what can we say? A bond is also a kind of a loan, can be considered as a loan given by an investor, that is you, to a borrower, typically any company. Since we have seen there's a government, the government can be there. There can be a simple company also, depending not the person or a company, it can be individual also. Okay, so you are the investor who's paying that money or giving this loan to a borrower, typically a company or government, and in return, the borrower, now the government or the company, agrees to pay an interest. They are ready to pay interest on a regular interval. This regular interval can be semi-annually, it can be annually, now it can be semi-annual, it can be annual, and this regular interest payment is nothing but your payment. And once the maturity, once the time period is over of the agreement, then the borrower, that is your company or government or any individual who has taken that money, who has borrowed that money, will repay that amount of money which he has or she has taken from you, which is called your face. And when it will return you, it will return you at the time of. Okay, so this is the basic of your bond. Okay, so what is coupon? Coupon is the interest paid regularly. Okay, and the price or the amount you are giving to government or the borrower is called your face value. The principal value of the loan is called your face value, and extra money or the interest you are getting, that is called coupon payment, or the percentage interest is called your coupon. Okay, let's see some with an example. Suppose the government has issued a bond or a written promise note. Okay, written promise note with a value of rupees 10,000. So whatever the value they've been asking, whatever the value of money they are borrowing from the market, from the individual, from the company, or from wherever they are gaining all this, getting that money, asking the borrowing money, is called your face value. And let's say the government said that on each 10,000, I will give you 7% interest. 7% interest. So this coupon 7% is what? Is your coupon. And the 7% of face value will be what? 7% of the face value, that is 10,000, will be 700, which is the coupon payment. Okay. Let's say this deal has taken place in on 18 April 2024, and the government of India has issued this bond for, let's say, 10 years. So 18 April 2034. Till that time, each year, the lender will receive 100, 700 rupees every year. Every year they will receive 700 rupees, and at the end of the 10th year, or now at the end or the on the date of maturity, what the government will do will return this face value to lender. And till the time annually, if it is annually, they will pay annually. If it is on the agreement, if it is semi-annually, then it will be considered as semi-annually. Okay, so this is how your bond market works. So it's basically a kind of loan, but you can say that it is a kind of loan. But what is the difference here? This loan can be bought and sell in the market. But the general loan, like personal loan, home loan, education loan, cannot be bought and sold into the market. That is the most important difference between loan or debt which you've taken by the individual or company or the government from the bank or other institutions, and bond is something. Suppose if I have now issued a bond, and some lender has now bought that bond and is now lending that suppose 10,000 to me. Now that person who bought this value, who's this promised note or the bond, then sell that bond to some other third person. But if you have taken a home loan, you cannot sell that home loan to someone else. That will not be possible. So that is a difference between your debt which you or the loan which you generally take, normal loans, and the bond. And it can be issued by your government, any company, any individual. But the loans can be only issued by your financial institutions only. Okay, so this is the basic of your bond. Now, based on these, now there are different types of bond based on the issue. Who is actually issuer? Issuer means who is asking, borrower. Who is a borrower? Now, who is a borrower of a money? Who is actually who is borrowing? Okay, if the government has issued a borrowing promise note or a bond, then it is called government bond. And government can issue two types of bond. One is GSEC, that is for your long term bond, which have a maturity period more than a year. And this can be used for a different infrastructure project. The government can also use short-term bond called money bills or T-bills for their short-term operations, like paying the salary, or if they are using for buying certain raw material to produce certain goods. So for that thing, they can use it for short-term. Now let's say if any corporate, when I say corporate, it means that now just okay. So corporate bonds are basically the corporate, now the government, not the government, the private companies, the small private companies or the bigger private companies, whosoever needed the money, they want to borrow the money when they cannot have the fund from the traditional method of like not taking loan from the bank. Then what they do, they generally issue the no bonds, or they issue the promise notes to the normal people or into the market where an individual or institution or now anybody can buy that bond. So if they are issued by corporates, then it is a corporate one. And if they are issued by municipal corporation, now every city has a municipal corporation. If you know the PMC, Bombay Municipal Corporation has launched its bond recently in 2022. Lucknow Municipal Corporation has released their bond in order to know whatever the see what is the work of a municipality. They have the work none. They have a work. They have a responsibility to build roads, public toilets, and everything. Whatever these municipalities work are there for infrastructure development, they need money. So in order to develop this infrastructure, they need money. So in order to raise that money, what they do, they sell the bond into the market in order to raise money. And similarly, PSUs, it can be your public sector bank, it can be your public sector unit like NTPC, PGCIL, and they continuously keep on investing money either into the renewable energy resources or non-renewable energy resources. So whenever they are expanding now, whenever they are expanding themselves into different sectors, they need money. So in order to fulfill or the requirement of the fund, what they are going to do, they are going to release the bond into the market, and the lender will come and give the money to that particular bond. When they are buying that bond, they are paying that much money. Okay, so the based on the issuer, we have three different bonds, that is government bond, corporate bond, municipal, and PSU bond. Okay, now based on the coupon structure, how the coupon rate are, now how the extra money which you have charged now is going to be paid by the government. Okay, so if they are paying you fixed rate, means the rate is fixed for every year. Suppose this year they have decided to pay you 7.5%, then they are going to pay you 7.5% every year. They are not, that particular rate is not going to change with the time. Now, if they have set the 7.5% for 10 years, so for each year they are going to pay 7.5% only. Okay, but if it is a floating rate bond means it is floating, it is keep on variable since it is depending on certain benchmark rate. Earlier it was like LIBOR is there, then there is a MIBOR is there. Now you, I think we have SOFR, something like that. Okay, so floating repo rate is the rate now where we use certain benchmark and we add like 1 or 2% on it. So this benchmark interest rate keeps on changing with respect to time. So if this interest rate keep on changing with respect to time, this benchmark interest rate, so overall interest rate is going to be changed. Suppose if the interest rate is 5% benchmark now, and I say that the floating plus 2%. So the overall interest I'm going to earn is 7%. Now let's say this benchmark interest rate has increased to 6%. Now I'm going to get 8% interest rate on this floating rate. Okay, so that's how you, the amount of interest which you are going to earn on your investment will keep on varying with respect to. Now the next type is your zero coupon bond. What is zero coupon bond? It is a zero coupon means they are not going to pay you any interest. They are not going to pay you any interest. Okay. In this case, they are not going to pay any interest. Now, if they are not paying you any interest. Now, you will say, what is the, well, you will say, sir, what is the use of you now this bond? Since they are not paying you interest, then why should I now lend this money? So basically, in case of your zero coupon bond, they don't pay you interest. But what they do, they sell you this bond at a discounted price. Let's say if the price or the face value of the coupon or the bond is rupees 1,000. Let's say the face value of the bond is rupees 1,000, and when you are going to buy this bond, okay, suppose this is 1,000 rupees bond, and when you go to buy this bond, this price is reduced by 300, let's say, and they have given you at the cost of 700. And at the time of maturity, when you're going to sell this or when you're going to return this bond, they are going to pay you rupees 1,000 on it. So the zero coupon bond has been sold at a discounted price to a lender, and it has been bought by the borrower at the face value. So the difference between this face value and the price at which you have bought this bond is the profit or the return gained by an investor. Okay, so this is the types of bond based on a coupon structure. Now, types of a bond based on a redemption. That is callable bond, puttable bond, and convertible bond. Okay, so what is callable bond? In which in which the issuer has a right. Okay, suppose issuer has issued that bond for 10 years. Now they issued the bond for 10 years. Now they want that bond before maturity period. Let's say at 8 year, at the end of 8 year only, the issuer want to buy that bond. So in that case, what they will do, they will sell the bond when no, they will call the bond. They will call the bondholders to sell those bond to them before 10 year at the time of 8 years, 6 years, 7 year, whatever the time they decide or whatever the time just suits them to buy that bond. So whenever a bond is bought before the maturity period by the issuers, then it is called your callable bond. So issuer has a right to call that bondholders to sell those bonds back to the borrower. And when we say about puttable bonds, in this case, if the maturity period is for 10 years and your investors want to sell that bond before 10 years, let's say at 8 years, before the maturity period, then in that case, that bond is called your puttable bond. And then comes out to the next, that is convertible bond. That convertible bonds are the bond which can be converted into stock at any time or at the end of a maturity period. Okay, since you have a 10%, let's say you have a certain amount of bond, and at the end of the maturity period, instead of returning your principal amount or a face value to you, what the company has done or what the borrower has made you a partner into the company. Now, one question will come into your mind, sir, what is the benefit of using this convertible bond? See, there are two benefits. Sorry, there are benefits, different benefits of now being bond. When you are a bond holder, that means what is the meaning of bond holder? You are buying that bond. You have given a loan. You have you have given a loan. You have given a loan to that company or to a people. You have lended a money. You are a not owner of that company. You are just a creditor to that company. You have a you credited money into the company. At the time comes, you will take that money back. So you are not a holder of that. You are not become a partner among the company. But when you invest into the stock, you become a ownership. You had certain ownership into the company rather than being a just a bondholder who has just given a money, and at the time at the end of the maturity period, you will now you will get back your invested money. But in case if your bond is converted into stock like share, then you become the what? You become the part. You will have certain ownership into the. So these are the different types of. Okay, and I'll ask one question, and there should be one question in your mind, sir. Is the bond always bought at the face value? Is the bond has been bought at the same face value? No. If I ask you, if you go into any wholesale market, has anybody bought anything on the MRP? Does anybody bought anything on the MRP? No. You bought it at a lower price. And if there is a shortage of it, you will buy at more than MRP also. Depending on the demand of the commodity, the price of the commodity will change. So same thing it's actually happens in case of your bond also. If the demand of your bond is very much high, then definitely the price of the bond will go above the face value, which is possible. Now, if the demand of your bond is lesser than what the face value is, then sorry, if your demand of the bond is lower down, there is lesser demand into the market than its supply. So in that case, the price at which the person will bought that bond will be lower than their face value. So depending on which price you are buying the face value, we define it as the different conditions. We'll see that. But before that, let's see how the price of the bond has been calculated. So, see, why is the bond price is nothing but the present value of coupon plus present value of face value. Now, what is present value? That is one of the important concept that you have to learn. The more detail about this will be in the time value of money, but I'll just give a brief introduction. See, if you have 100 rupees, okay, so this 100 rupees will not be same 100 rupees after 1 year. Why it will be? See, either its value will decrease down by inflation, or suppose you have invested this 100 rupees somewhere and you earn interest 10%, so you earn rupees 10 on it. So its total value after 1 year is rupees 110. So the value of the money never remains same. So, okay, now in case of the bond, what you are getting coupon on a regular interval. It is not that the coupon you are getting, you get at a one-time payment, you get on a regular interval. And if you have a maturity period of 10 years, in the case of here, that we have 700 here, in the next year they have paid you 700, in third year 700, in fourth year 700. In all these cases, the first year 700 value will be lesser than the 700 value of these, or will be have more value than the this 700, and the 700 in the second year will have more value than the 700 in the third year. So if you invest this 700 somewhere else, you can add 10% of interest on it. This is a hypothetical case that you might earn 10% interest on it. So you get to 70 rupees as a interest or as an extra payment. So after 1 year, the same 700 value has a value of 770. So that's why whenever a person or a company is not selling a bond, and when they are providing you this value, this uh, coupon payment, so they have to consider the present value of that coupon. Since it is a regular payment, it has a different duty factor, and since the face value as a different payment is a one-time payment, so it has a different present. If I go with the formula is not much important. It's very rarely asked in your exam, but just in order to have a better concept, this present value and an annuity factor can be written as 1 minus R plus R to the power minus N. Okay, okay, so this is the present value annuity factor and the present value at face value. Okay, so we can use this value to calculate the bond price. So the face value has a value of 793.83, and then this present value of coupon is something 257 you will get. So if you add them, you'll get the value of 1050, which is greater than your 1000 rupees. Okay, so in the case when your bond is actually sold at a price, there is a chances where your bond can be sold at a price more than your face value, equal to your face value, and less than your face value. And depending on that, if if your now if your bond price is greater than your face value, then it is called sold at premium. When we can say that sold at premium. If your price is lesser than your face value, then we can say that the bond has been sold at a discount. And if it is sold at the face value only, then we can say that it is sold at par. Now, how this premium discount at par get affected now, and how the market interest rate is going to affect the prices. Now let's say XYZ bond has rupees 1,000 its face value and the coupon rate CR is 10%. So the coupon payment will be rupees 100. Okay. Now let's say this XYZ bond giving you the now the after 1 year, let's say the market interest rate increased. Now the coupon rate is increased to 12%. Now this coupon rate increase, then coupon payment will increase to rupees 120. Now the bond which you are holding now, the earlier bond or the old bond which you are holding has the cost of rupees 1,000 and giving you a return 100 rupees per year. But now the same 1,000 on investing same 1,000 rupees, you are getting 12% interest, that is rupees 120. So if some ABC investor comes and sees two bond, this XYZ at a two different interest rate, one is 10% and another is 12%. So this is a new bond, this is the old bond. So this ABC will buy this at a given price, that is rupees 1,000 only. But if he wants to buy this XYZ at a 10% interest rate, it will buy this face value, this coupon XYZ at a discounted price. So in that case, the bond price becomes lower than your face value. Okay, it becomes lower than your face value. Okay, now in the same case, let's say this XYZ bond, the new prevailing market rate has changed from 12% to 8%. Now, if it is 8%, that means you are getting 80 rupees as a coupon payment. You are getting 80 rupees as a coupon payment. So let's say this is rupees 80 coupon payment. Now, this ABC, when it comes to buy this two XYZ bond, one is at 10%, another is at 8%. So this new bond he wants to buy at a discounted price, but this old bond he wants to buy at a premium. Now, because the demand of this will be more, and you are going to sell this 1,000 rupees bond into, let's say, 1,200 rupees bond. So in that case, your bond price is greater than your face value. And the new bond which has been released has 10% interest rate only. So in that case, the price value and the face value remain same. Okay, so this is how your bond has been sold at the face value or above face value or less than face value. So when they are sold at face value, then it is at par. If they are sold at below face value, then it is at discount. If it is sold greater than the face value, then it is called sold at premium. So that's how your price of the bond changes with the change in the market interest rate. Okay, and the same relation we can see. Okay, so if your interest rate is increasing, your bond price is decreasing. So this is the inverse relation which we generally see. If your interest rate is increasing of the new bond, your old bond price is going to reduce. Okay, so traded at discount, traded at premium. Case two, this is case one. Okay, sure. So next part is bond price and yield. See, first, what is yield? We have to understand. Yield is the coupon payment you received upon the bond price. See, there is a difference between bond price and face value. Is it or not? Face value is the value. Face value of a bond is the price written on that bond. There is the price written on that bond is called your face value. But the price at which any customer or any investor is buying that bond is called your bond price. So yield is calculated on bond price, not on face value. And whether your bond price is more than face value, less than face value, or equal to face value, your coupon payment are your coupon payment are calculated at your face value, not on your bond price. We don't calculate coupon payment on bond price. We calculate on the face value. Okay, so that means your coupon payment is not going to change. If the 10% is the coupon rate, so you will get 100 rupees only coupon payment, whether you buy it at 1100, whether you buy at 800. So if your bond price, why? Because yield is what? Coupon upon bond price. So if your bond price is increasing, coupon is constant, your yield will decrease. If your bond price is decreasing, coupon payment is constant, your yield will, and hence they will also have inverse relation in which your bond price will increase, so your yield will decrease. If your bond price will decrease, your yield will. So this is a relation between your bond price and yield. Okay. So that's all for today's session. Now rest of the points related to your bond. Now there are different other points related to your bond which we will discuss in the next session. So I hope the things have been clear to you. If there is any doubt, you can now share it out on the comment box. If you want, you can share your doubt on the Telegram channel, anywhere if you want. Okay, guys. So that's all for today. Bye.